Have you been thinking about moving to a rural area or the country, as we like to say? It sounds peaceful, and for a lot of people it is, but there are some things you need to know before you make that move. I'm going to break down the real pros and cons of rural living so you can decide if it actually fits your lifestyle or you just like the idea of it. The first thing is affordability. Your money goes a lot further. You can often get more land, a bigger home, and lower taxes compared to city living. And that sounds great, right? Number two is space and privacy. You're not right on top of your neighbors. So think larger lots, quiet surroundings. You can actually hear the birds chirp, and there's room to actually breathe. And you can go on walks and just experience nature without all of the city noises, as I like to call it. So, all of the sirens and the cars and the highway noises and all the things that you hear that you become numb to when you're in the city. When you actually get away to the country or you start living rurally, then you'll notice just how peaceful and how quiet it is. And that leads me to number three, a slower pace of life. So there's less traffic, less noise, less stress. And for a lot of people, that alone time is worth the move alone. Number four, it's a great investment opportunity. Markets like Augusta and surrounding rural areas are growing. So that means potential for appreciation, rental demand. And if you buy smart, you're really opening up so many doors. Now, you do have to allow the time for your investment to start building equity and making money. And there may be years between, when you purchase and when the city actually starts to develop and grow. But it's great if you buy now and you hold on to it. So now let's talk about the things you may not like so much. So, one of the things when I moved out to the country is limited amenities. So, you don't have access to everything, everything's not close. You don't have the ability to forget things at the grocery store because your nearest grocery store may be 30 minutes to an hour away. And so when I lived in the city, I lived in Atlanta for years. And when I lived in the city, I would forget an onion and be like, oh, well, let me just run up to Publix. But it's not, it's not happening, y'all. Like if I forget an onion, it'll be the next time that I get to the store because it's a 30-minute drive. So it does make you more intentional. You don't have everything 5 to 10 minutes away. Grocery stores, you can't just run out to the restaurant because the nearest restaurant are fortunate to have a restaurant here in our town. We're fortunate to have a Dollar General. As everybody knows, that's in the rural areas. If you got a Dollar General, you're making it. So restaurants, hospitals, all of those things can be a drive. So the nearest hospital to us is 20 minutes. The nearest grocery store is 30 minutes. If we want to go to specialty stores like Target or Best Buy, we have to drive an hour. So it is something to consider when you're looking at moving in a rural area. It can all be quite a drive. The fortunate part is, depending on the city that you're looking at, you may want to look at something that's right off of a main highway. And there are some cities that are a little further inland, so they are maybe 20 or 30 minutes from the highway. And so you may have to drive even further to get to any of your amenities. So job opportunities is another big thing. Like I was saying before, if you work remotely, it's perfect. If you're not remote, however, job opportunities can be very limited. So you're not going to have a ton of places. Obviously, if you have to drive an hour to get to any specialty stores, or 30 minutes to drive to a grocery store, then that means that there are not a lot of things in these rural towns, and so you're going to have to um, be a little more creative with how you're making money. You're either going to have to commute large distances, or you're going to have to find a job that's remote, or you're going to have to keep your debt low and live off of your land, or get creative with how you make your income, whether that's Etsy, eBay, YouTube, whatever it is. You just have to be strategic, especially if you need a lot of money to live. But if you keep your expenses low, and you do work a remote job where your income is high, there could be tons of potential. Number 3 is going to be the internet and infrastructure. This is a big one because not all rural areas have strong internet. So you want to take that into consideration. And that matters a lot if you work from home. One of the things that I notice all the time is that, sometimes we may just lose an internet signal periodically in the middle of the day, or sometimes when it storms, we may lose power. And because we're in a rural area, we're not necessarily the priority. So the utility companies we're not the first on the list to get it back. So there may be a couple of days. The worst that I've seen is a couple weeks during Helene. We had to wait a couple weeks to get our power back, but we got it back. and then as far as the internet, it may go down, it may be intermittent, but it's pretty, for the most part, it's pretty consistent. You can work remotely, but just definitely do your research in the area that you're looking to move to, because not all rural areas are as lucky. Number 4 is going to be your resale and liquidity. Homes in rural areas, a lot of the times they can take longer to sell, and also a lot longer to build equity. So your home may not build equity as fast as in a major city, and rural areas will have longer days on market. So when you go to list your property, it may be sitting for quite a while. If the days on market in your closest metro is 30 to 60 days or 60 to 90 days, I would say definitely add some time onto that. There's a smaller buyer pool compared to city markets, and so that is definitely going to impact your ability to sell your home. So rural living isn't better or worse, it's just different. So the key is making sure that it aligns with your lifestyle, your work, and your long-term goals. Make sure that you're prepared, because DoorDash does not come to your door. You may not get certain things to deliver to you. Grocery delivery, we just recently got access to grocery delivery, but when I first moved out here, we didn't have access to that either. So the luxuries or city luxuries that you're used to, we don't have those same things. And it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it is definitely different. So you just have to prepare and shift your mindset to prepare for rural living. Now, if you're considering a move to a rural area or investing in one, let's talk through your goals. Make sure it actually makes sense for you. I'll help you look at the full picture, not just a highlight reel.